Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Colombia. Welcome to this wonderful event, a beautiful morning, and welcome to the World Leaders Forum. We are very fortunate this morning to be joined by Vice President Muhammad Jusuf Kalla of the Republic of Indonesia. I'd like to thank Colombia's Weatherhead East Asian Institute for co-sponsoring this event, and Andy Nathan, sitting in the front row here, class of 1919, Professor of Political Science, for moderating the question and answer session that will follow the Vice President's remarks. I'd like to also acknowledge Ambassador Budi Boaleksono and the members of the Indonesian delegation. And their clothes are much more interesting than us guys in suits. They've got beautiful shirts, and I thank them for coming in their Indonesian shirts. Vice President Kalla is a long-time public servant, having at different points in his career been a Member of Parliament, Minister of Trade and Minister of Welfare. He assumed his current office in 2014. He is also an accomplished businessman and a trained economist. For the past 8 years, Mr. Kalla has been chair of Indonesia's Red Cross Society. The topic of his speech today, Middle Path Islam for Harmony and Peace, the Indonesian experience, is of great interest to us all. Nearly 250 million people, speaking more than 300 languages, live on Indonesia's thousands of islands. The nation is home to the world's largest Muslim population and has Southeast Asia's largest economy. Indonesia's experience with representative democracy is relatively recent, beginning at the turn of this century, and coming after many years of colonial rule and authoritarian governance. Since making that transition, the country has been a stable and tolerant society with free and fair elections, a secular constitution, and a principled leader in President Joko Widodo. Indonesia, nevertheless, faces the challenge of preserving open discourse and a pluralistic society, while managing substantial national security concerns and the injection of religious fervour into its politics. The threat of the Islamic State within Indonesia is real. And though the police are effective in thwarting terrorist plots, there remains lingering concern about ISIS recruits returning from Syria. Indonesia has recently seen an increase in political support for Islamic conservatives and repeated calls for the adoption of Sharia law. When the Christian governor of Jakarta was found guilty of blasphemy earlier this year, moderates in the country said that the conviction had damaged the integrity of the judiciary and was a setback for religious tolerance and freedom of speech. We have invited Vice President Kalla today to discuss these tensions and the host of cross-cutting issues facing his country. Please join me in welcoming him to the podium. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chairman, and Professor, and all audience. Good morning, good every morning. We come here and I use batiks because the weather is too good to here for me, and we hope that you can enjoy these good days here in New York. First of all, let me say that I usually thinking what I should say to this morning, but as the moderator said that one of this good agenda is why Islamic world and why Indonesia is more stable compared with many countries in Asia and the Middle East and in many parts of the world. Sometimes the world is very noisy now on, including from here. Very noisy, and sometimes we don't understand what should be to say about in Twitter. First, thanks for the university is inviting me to speak this morning. I'm, as they mentioned, Moderator said that Indonesia consisting of 260 million peoples is numbers four after U.S. They say so we are very close in number of populations. And it's the same too. We have so many races, so many language, and so many the different only thing that America is continent and Indonesia is archipelago. Countries they are different. That's why sometimes different way how to manage this archipelago compared to the continentals like Europe or in its U.S. And Indonesia. But we enjoy that. That's why before they say we are separated by ocean, but I say no. We are united by in oceans. Only ocean can unity Indonesia. That's why ocean very important, and we discuss in the UN about that how ocean can be useful and more discarding him. And this audience we are to speak about how Islam Indonesia is moderate, middle path. Back to the history and why different with Middle East. History Islam Indonesia bring by traders, not by force, not by military or action or everywhere, by traders. Mostly traders they like to make a compromise. They like to make peacefully transitions. Compare with you go by force or go by tribe. The second thing is different is Indonesia is now on democratic. Compare with many countries in the Middle East who sometimes very important, the tribe very important there. That's why we have different way to manage the country. And our objectively, our philosophy of the country is the same with yours. We call it Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. It means unity in diversity. It is likely just a pluribus unum with you. We have same philosophy of how to manage the whole country. It is. Beside the history, of course, different island, sometimes different cultures. That's why unity. If you see my friend here using batik, no one batik same color, no one batik same, all difference, but we are unity. Is this meaning how to do that? But how Indonesia can manage the differentiality between Indonesia? If you see Indonesian tourist articles or campaigning, first thing you see Bali or Borobudur. We are majority Muslim, but the icon of Indonesia to the abroad is Hindu and Buddhist. Borobudur, big temples of Buddhists, and Bali, mostly Hindu. And he is showing. That's why if we important you, first thing go to the Hindu area. That's why we are very easy. If we are in Middle East now on, in Syria, I think all temple have destroyed. But we are our icon of Indonesia in this time. Besides that, no one country like Indonesia. Indonesian Muslim is 88%. Holiday, formal holiday, there are 16 days a year. 5 of them is Muslims holiday. But there are 3 Christians, 2 Buddhists and Buddhas, and even Chinese holiday. We are very respected each others. We hope that America next time, Idul Fitri, Indonesian holiday, will be a formal holiday for the country. Because Buddhists, even less than 1% of the population, they have one national holiday for Buddhists in Indonesia. This is one thing that we respect each others. In our cabinet member, there are 35 cabinet members of Indonesia, all coming from different area and different religions. All religions have minimum have one seat in the cabinet, although with different parties. But he is very communicated and need harmony about that. This is one thing that how to manage. And there are some issue, of course, maybe you hear when Jakarta governor elections, there are Chinese, even very small community, compete, but they lost. No problems. This is a democratic country. That's why this is that's why we are usually instanced in middle part of Islam, by history, by educations, and by practically in the countries. We see the other countries now on, especially Middle East or Arab countries, after Arab Spring, so many countries have failed or even have big problems. But one thing maybe you should make research. The all failed countries is a republic. Iraq, Syria, Libya, Egypt, Tunis, Afghanistan, all republic. But the kingdom is okay, no problem. One question maybe you should research here. What kind of republic? Why they lost? But republic with authoritarian leaders is nearly the same with the kingdom too. But republics, there should be have parliamentarians or many things they do, but they cannot do it. That's why the failed country is coming. The other question now on, I think, is Islamophobia aware. But I can tell you, no one any demonstration on only hatred about religions in Indonesia. We don't never action about Christians or anything. Some conflict in Indonesia, many knows as a religion conflict. It's not. 15 years ago, in Ambon, one of the east town of provinces in Poso, the conflict finally between Islam and Christians. But the root of the conflict is not because of religions, mostly not religion. It's around equality, and about democracy. Before, when Suharto era, they call it democracy, but with harmony. The country, for instance, the provinces like Maluku, the number of Muslim and Christians is nearly the same. but many immigrants coming, and the position is 55% of Muslims and 45 is Christian. But there are big conflict, 2 years conflict, and there are 5,000 people die because of this conflict. Very bad in our history, very bad. It's the same in Poso. Why that conflict? Not because religion, because equality in politics, because democracy. Before, in Indonesia, governor, of course, chosen by local parliaments, but with negotiation in harmony. For instance, if governor is Islam in Maluku area, the vice governor should be Christian. If president is Christians and the vice governor Islam, and the harmony there never happened within many years. But after democratic, open democracy, after reform in 2098, starting the condition of democracy, the winner take all. Because populations shift, because many coming, and then Muslim choose as governor, and many posts in government is Muslim too, because the winner take all. What do you say? The same here. If Republic and then all White House people is coming from a Republic, or the other thing, they follow your idea in democracy that sometimes not suitable for the cultures of the people there. And like this happen like thing, not discrimination. They look it like discrimination because, but this is happen because open democracy that we are implemented in the country when after reform. But why and then religions coming? Because some leaders using the issue of religion. And any issue of religion is very dangerous because no one independent. As you Christian or you are Islams and fight each others. Even their neighborhood, sometimes they fire his home because it's different religions. But the root reason, not Christian. This is one thing, the issue that democracy should be transition, not directly open. This is we first learn we have after reform that don't push countries to democracy. What sometimes American way, democracy is religion here. That if you're not democracy, and then we should destroy you because there's the religions. Not only Islam have jihadis, democracy too can be jihadis. Why you bombing Iraq, Afghanistan? Because the reason is democracy. It's very dangerous in many places in the world about this faith. That democracy is one of religions that you implemented for many countries in the world, if not democracy. This happened in our country, but without any outside intervention, because no, the winner take all problems. Usually I say conflict because the changings, the idea from harmony to the winner take all in a democracy way. This happens in many places in the countries, but now on, after we understand this, back again to harmony. If you will be winning in gubernatorials or mayor in some area who is regions is nearly the same number, and their harmony first. They make a plan or Islam-Christian combinations. Now on this way, this area is safe, and no security after changing the system itself. Yes. What happened in this area? What happened in the world? Now many problems about radicalisms and terrorisms, because if you make a terror, first you are radical. You usually come radical first, and then from radical to terrorism. Why this happen in many countries? In one thing that we have very serious discussion in the UN yesterday, how to solve this? Many things happen. Why did that happen? The first thing, as I mentioned, that again, why they radical? Why they going to suicide? This young man who, if the terrorists who go in suicide, what they expected? Of course, they don't expect money because he died. They don't expect political position, like governor or president, because he died. And for what? Why? Because they expected paradise, heaven. If you kill someone, you go into paradise. Why they do that? Because that young generation who living in the country who is no peace, no economy is not run, they know hope. And they know hope because his country destroyed. That's why all terrorists coming from the failed country, not come from the advanced country. They come from failed country. Al-Qaeda came built in Afghanistan, who failed because Russia and after that US coming to help, but after that they leaving the country. And radicalism's there because they destroy the country and no hope. And the people outside to Likud then. ISIS, where come from ISIS? It is came from Syria and Iraq. The same happened, the failed country. Why Iraq fell? Because no leadership. Why no leadership? Because the people destroy. No hope. Economy no run. And the people outside is angry. Young generations angry because no hope. And the leaders of religion, after that coming to say that if you are killing your enemy and you are going to paradise. That's why they sell paradise very cheap. But this is happen. Yeah. It's happen. They smile after they being a bomb because they're thinking a lot of that. This happened. Why the failed country? Again, I say, because you bombing Iraq, very more than one bombing in Afghanistan and or Vietnam, combination, more bombing they compare with World War II. And all people's problems, no hope, they radicals and they terrorists. This is important to say. They say, what we should do? Yeah, because now on, if there are terrorists, the only thing this discussion is where, what, who, and when. Never discussion about why they do that. Why they do that. And mostly, if you see in Europe, the young man who make a suicide is not practice religious. In Belgium, in France, they sell alcohol, they sell drugs, and the other thing. But it is short path to paradise. They're thinking about that. And everybody here, of course, us, is believing the paradise, heaven, and then, of course, many things thinking about that. That's why what we do in Indonesia, to de-radicalize of the people is how to reduce the such ideology in the school, in the peoples, in there. Not easy, of course. It is dilemmatic. More than 10,000 in jail in Indonesia about that, or 6,000 about that, because radicalisms and possible going to terrorists. But we are throw many de-radicalisms in the jail, but it's not easy to have. If you many like that in one jail, the jail will be university of terrorisms. If they you separate it in many jail, they make virus of radicalisms in the jail. If you know al-Baghdadi, ISIS leaders, they radicals after they living in jail in Iraq by U.S. jail, and there will more radicalism after that. This is matter of the world, how to reduce radicalisms by making the country not fail. If we compare what problem now in Iraq, compare with Saddam times, is I think most people more better life when Saddam compare now on. If you compare in Libya, which one, Gaddafi or now on, no government at all, no law at all. Everybody can shoot anybody in Iraqi and Iraq. This is one thing. Now the problems again, democratization with force is useless. That's why democracy will come by welfare, by unity of the world to make a program to reduce welfare, to increase welfare, to reduce poor, anything, as we call it the SDGs. That's why the UN program, USDGs, is very, very important for many countries of the world. This is one thing that we should understand, and I hope that the easy way to invasion of any countries on behalf of ideologies is not easy, because you cannot fight the ideology by force, because in his mind, the only thing you change the mind by mind too, by ideology, by the equations, by environmental area, by study, by if you hear to don't study that religions is democracy for religions. This is one thing happen everywhere. Muslim, of course, like Indonesian Muslims, if very moderate, it can be cooperate with the others. But when we see it directly, needed, of course, understanding each other's. The national ideology to have William likes our ideology Bhinneka Tunggal Ika or your U.S. UNUM should be compared. I think university very important thing to teach more about harmony in between the area. Harmony, how to balancing the need of the in the life and the need how afterlife. Because if only thinking about afterlife and then you will be jihadists But if you're thinking about life and afterlife, I think we will have a harmony in between other. That's why we hope here to Columbia University have a good, how about making example how to, because your students come from everywhere in the world, will be have a unity if they are a good example what we do in the here. I think, again, thank you very much for this, and let's unity to walk about it. That not easy. Don't invasions any country in the country, the force, because you have force and you invasion, you bombing any countries that nothing happened there, because only miscalculation or intelligence not enough fact about it. But we hope now on, many things, of course, the world now on. Leaders, sometimes they are very good, there are some we don't know what they do, like North Korea. No one can analyze what they want to do. But sometimes here too, we are a foreign country, sometimes very confused what we will do. That's why we hope that university can explain to us what we will do, what where are going to go. Because if we know where we're going to go, and then we can together, unless in the world, in this happen. Don't, because if we only of course we condemn, of course we are sorry. There are one bombing, 10 dies in London or in Paris, but in same time, you see, imagine 1 million people die in Syria, in Iraq. How many million the refugees everywhere in the world, because unbelievable reasons they go there. Anyway, it's the same when I saw last night about Vietnam War in TV, and very controversial. Why you go to Vietnam without any good reason to go there? I said, please be understanding. We are in the country far away from here, Indonesia, but needed to harmony life, with not only with Indonesian people, but all people in the world. And sometimes education very important to make a harmony life with it. Again, thank you very much for all your achievements. Thank you.
So I'm Andy Nathan, and I'll be moderating the Q&A. I would invite, where are the mics that people are supposed to line up at? There should be mics. I don't see them, but here they come. So I would ask you to line up if you would like to ask a question. Identify yourself, keep your name and the school that you're in, and keep your question brief if you would. And I'll just start by thanking Vice President Kalla for a very, very substantive set of remarks, good criticisms of U.S. policy that are politely stated and highly persuasive. I think we might try to persuade our political leaders to wear more batik. And if I could ask the first question myself, you indicated in your remarks that that democracy sometimes drives conflict among groups because it's winner take all, and leaders will use religion to mobilize their supporters. But you also said that when there's a sufficient amount of welfare in a society, democracy will work okay. I think I heard you say that. So I wanted to know whether you think that democracy can work well in Indonesia, or whether you feel that at the present time it is detrimental to Indonesia.
Yes, democracy can practice in Indonesia because the culture in historical way Indonesia is different but unity too. And against we are our historical very transitional changings, no revolutionary changings. As they will say, even in Indonesia, Buddhists less than 1% of population, but the icon of our country, if they are tourists, is Borobudur. It's same like India. India majority Hindu, but icon is Taj Mahal, is Muslims' identity in India, not Hindu Taj Mahal. And why don't walk like many countries, Islam and in Middle East? Because the history or position is tribes. Tribes needed a leader, small leader, yang very important to the tribes. Only Saudi, Atani, and tribes. Indonesia, no one such family can control Indonesia. We should change every 5 years, like now on, except at times hard of 30 years, but no more. Besides that, as you mentioned, that democracy should have transition, because why? And again, my question is, why the country who have Arab Spring effect in the Middle East, mostly republic, not kingdom? 6, 7 of them is republic, because it's meaning that democracy asks you to expressing your independence to speak, but leaders, they look like him as a king too, and that's not matching between the peoples and the leaders. But Indonesia, you are chosen by peoples directly, and you should be responsible of that.
Thank you so much. Let's go to this mic first. Identify yourself and your school.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikumsalam.
Thank you so much for coming here and talking about such relevant issues. My name is Zoha Karmali. I'm from the School of Continuing Professional Studies, and I'm doing a master's in Sustainability Management. So you spoke about harmony and respect and living together in peace. I wanted to know what your country is doing for the gay and transgender community to enable them to live in peace and harmony. Thank you.
Yes, of course, as I was saying, that the first thing is do it, not only say that. If we say that all people have a good opportunity, because not different of religions, that's why all cabinet there are Hindu, there are Chinese, there are Christian, there are Muslim, of course. It is happen every government in the countries like that. New Year, every holiday should be combination. Here, I think Muslim is more than 1% of populations here in America. I don't know that, but no. Of course, Islam holiday here, of course not. Even the same, no Hindus, the holidays. But we do it. You see, we respect each other by doing. Only. That's why we can do harmony in many places about that.
But specifically about the sexual minorities, the LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, that particular issue?
Yeah, there are, the first meeting of LGBT is in Yogyakarta, in Indonesia. I don't know why that Indonesia first. But of course, Indonesia is 80% of Muslim, then even more, mostly of religious leaders don't accept that as a formal life. Sometimes we know someone LGBT, but it's okay. You do it as personals, but don't do it like a community. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Hello, thank you for being here with us, Mr. Vice President. My name is Ina, and I'm here an exchange scholar for the Human Rights Advocate Program. I'm an Indonesian, and I'm very proud of being Indonesian. I'm really scared to ask this question, really, because even though I see so many Indonesian wearing batik, it makes me feel intimidated. Because this is a really hard question for me.
Okay.
So I feel saddened by the recent situation in Indonesia, particularly in the with the rise of increasing of Islamist extremists in our society. It's getting worse now because they use violence, hate speech, fake news, and now they use the propaganda of communism again. So even though they are in small group, but they have power more than the government and the police, at least that is in my opinion. In 2013, we have a book discussion in Yogyakarta. I and my friends were beaten. Hundreds of people coming and beaten us.
I have to ask you to keep it short and ask the question.
Yeah,
So
but
I'm glad you
until
are
today,
asking.
they never held accountable for this. So my question, why the government is so weak when confronting with these Islamic extremists? And in terms of democracy in harmony, I don't agree with harmony because that is what they use to us. Usually the police ask us to cancel the event because having different opinion means threaten harmony. And therefore, for me, harmony means threaten democracy.
Which
Thank
group
you.
were you representing when you were beaten?
I'm the women's group movement. At that time, we discussed about lesbian and gay in Islam.
Okay, thank you.
It's very good questions about that. Any harmony is still under law. No one free at all for harmony. Same here too, of course, everywhere. You have a law. For instance, you say about communists. There are law in 2000 saying that PKI or political party is banned in the countries. It's nothing do it with harmony. It's about law, because harmony too needed law. Or if no law, no harmony too. That's why because it's banned by law, no, and that's you cannot go in campaigning or talking about how Communist Party will be in the countries. The second thing about what you say, LGBT or something that it is not only Indonesia. Many countries, I think even in America, not all states can afford that in a formal way. As I mentioned, LGBT in a personal way is not problems in Indonesia. We know there's someone, but if you are going to formal, it is not it's against about a religion. What a religion you have, it is banned everywhere. That's why harmony is mean that if you do something that making the people conflict, it's unharmony. Not because we allow you to harmony, but we prevent unharmony in the people's way. That's why harmony is not being that all you free anything to do, because there are law on that.
Thank you. This mic here, there's nobody at this mic, so I encourage you people on that side to line up.
Hello.
Yeah.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Om Swastiastu. My name is Ikram, Pak. I'm from Aceh, Indonesia. Among Acehese people, you are very well known as one of the heroes for making the peace agreement between Aceh and Indonesian government happening. So thank you for that. My questions to you, what is the secret after 50 years of civil war between the Indonesian government and Aceh, and we had the peace agreement? What is the secret behind it? And my second question is that, you know, listening to your speech, Indonesia is very peaceful right now. My question is, what makes you awake at night. What is the biggest challenge that you are facing right now as the Vice President of Indonesia? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your appreciations. We do. Conflict in Aceh is 30 years. Around 20,000 people have died because of these conflicts. And there are pushing everywhere. What we do, first thing that study about the root of the conflict. Many say that conflict in Aceh because religion way. No. I say no. It's because economy. Aceh very rich with natural resources, oil and gas there. Very big gas project in Aceh. But Acehese people thinking, why we are very rich, but we don't enjoy that this natural gas and oil and gas. They say when we are meeting, firstly, solve the problems of how the Aceh people can enjoy and can use the natural resources for the Aceh peoples. That's why our national law say that if 100 productions, 15% go into the provinces itself, 15%. But we change for Aceh, that Aceh can enjoy or can take it 17%, 75% of natural resources in Aceh. And the other side is that I say, this is one thing to solve the conflict is no one should be lost face. If you negotiation and the other lost face, no discussion, no solution. That's why last night I met President Colombia, and because before they asked me to talk to him to speak about how to do the peace. Some say, I said, what root problems? What don't make a solution without lost facing each others? That's why if you say secret, for me not secret, is the way that give solution in the root of the problems, not religion problem in Aceh, but the happy use the natural resources there for Acehese people itself. And the second thing, make a solution with win-win between each others. This way Aceh can be solved after 30 years.
Thank you very much.
And the challenge of Indonesia,
Yes.
first in poverty and of course education sometimes here. Why we send so many people going to overseas to study, because the problem is poverty.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Vice President. My name is Avinash Shivakumar. I'm a mechanical engineering master's student. And so my question is about the Paris Climate Accords and Indonesia's role in that. So before the Climate Accords, there was certain concern that Indonesia may not sign on, and that Indonesia might not, if it does sign on, hold up its part of the agreement and contribute its fair share. So, but it looks like Indonesia is moving forward on that right now. And so my question is, considering Indonesia's dedication to upholding the Paris Climate Accords, what is your role, or what are your future policies on the coal industry, as that has been a significant industry sector?
Yes, Indonesia joining and intend to implement the Paris Accord is very important. And one thing important for Indonesia in this is tropical forest. Indonesia, one of the biggest countries in the world, have a tropical forest or rainforest beside Brazil. Before 17th or 16, We have 150 million hectares of rainforest in Indonesia. But then coming big company to teach the people how to cut the deforestation to sell woods and the other thing. Starting with Georgia Pacific from America, Marubeni, Mitsubishi, or even Hyundai from Korea, and they cut around 90 million hectares of forest, rainforest, and many things that there are landslides or flood because of that. You have some, of course, very cheap money on that before. That's why we are intention to how the Paris Accord implemented. But very sorry that U.S. itself, Trump, not U.S. Trump have say no, they don't agree with Paris Accord anymore. It's very pity for us to do that because for Indonesia, tropical forest, rainforest, not only for the people of Indonesia. How about coal? Coal, 50% of electricity in Indonesia is still using coal for primary energy. It's the same here in the U.S. Coal is most important to do that. We are now have a policy that until 20 years from now on, the renewable energy will be much implemented, consisting like hydropowers or geothermals, winds or the others renewable energy. Now, very big campaign to do that in Indonesia, and reduces coal only if mine-mouth coal electric power, not in the near city. That's what we do in this, how to reduce coal effect like China, that Beijing is sometimes very cloudy if there are this coal effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
My name is Mikhail Hassan Ali, and I'm a freshman in Columbia College. For many Muslims around the world and political analysts alike, the way that Indonesia has blended Islam and politics is very admirable. However, that is not the case for other Muslim countries. There's this disconnect between Muslim countries, such as Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the like. And I was wondering, what do you think are the most important factors in unifying the Muslim world so that we can face the common issues such as terrorism, Islamophobia, etc.?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, that democracy is one thing good system, but not the most best systems in whatever we do, especially in the Middle East, that not easy to you to implement that democracy is like what you do here in the U.S. or the other countries. Democracy way is many style democracies. Maybe sometimes you can study about Arab democracies, or like China, like Japan too is different. India is different democracy. They implemented similar in Indonesia. That's why how to make in this first. I think let's government make freely the country to be better understanding about how and stopping big country to enhance or making big problems in any country like Iraq or Syria or in the other countries, and stopping in Afghanistan. Let's make negotiation. It's very important for peace. There's no easy to say, but of course needed hard work to make a peace in many countries.
We have time for just one more question. I'm sorry, but we'll go to this side.
Hello, Mr. Vice President. Thank you for your comments. It's very heartening to hear the great achievements Indonesia has made in peace, harmony, and democracy. And I'm wondering if you could comment on the regional security issues. Indonesia and kind of ASEAN in general had historical warm relations with North Korea. What do you see as the role of Indonesia in the current North Korean crisis? And closer to Indonesia, South China Sea issues are still pretty hot. In international discussion, what do you see as the role of Indonesian and ASEAN at large in resolving conflicts? Thank you.
Yes, not much country like Indonesia who have good relation for South Korea and North Korea. We have all ambassador there in the two countries who is because the historical when Sukarno era in 15th or 16th, they have a good relation with Pyongyang. That's why President Megawati, the daughters of President Sukarno, sometimes go both the area to discuss, but we don't know what they want. It is not easy to talk to people, to everybody, if we don't know what they want. What they want, Kim Jong-un, it is no one's precisely why they do that. In very poverty there, but they make a nuclear. If you are rich and make nuclear bomb, I think okay, logic. But how the country who economy is very low, but very happy, any people to make a rocket and the other things so expensive. That's why I cannot say because we don't know what they want. If I know what you want, and then we can discuss what you want. This is problems there. There in about Korea, even though Indonesia have good relation with. About South China Sea, yes, there are so many tension there, but I don't believe China will make up problems in South China Seas, because why? China is industrial countries. Any industrial countries needed trading, need business, need import-export. 60% of export of America, of China, is through South China Sea. If there are war there, all 60% of China export will be stopped, and the country will really collapse. That's why I don't believe that China will make a force to China, but maybe there are natural resources rich there, and they can make it with those territorial area.
Well, Mr. Vice President, we have to wrap up. I want to thank you on behalf of the audience and the university for sharing your big thoughts and also your very practical political wisdom with us today and answering some tough questions. At the university, we use intellectual conflict to try to work our way toward long-term harmony. We're not there yet, but these kinds of discussions are very valuable to us. So thank you. Please join me in thanking Vice President Kalla.
Thank you.